WGG. WGG.
WXP is our unique XP point that can be used as credit to purchase merchandise on our platform. You can earn WXP by participating in activities such as quests, events, and tournaments on the platform. You can check your task by clicking on your Tasks tab to complete the task and claim a reward. You can check your WXP by clicking on your profile picture at the top right corner. WXP can be used to purchase items on our marketplace at w3gg.io/marketplace. More items will be available in the future. That's not all. Stay tuned for more exciting updates in the future.
Hello, what's up? Good morning, GM, what's up everyone? Welcome to tonight's AMA. Selamat datang semuanya ke AMA, bukan AMA, tapi AMA dari The SandBox Indonesia. Buat teman-teman yang nggak tahu SandBox itu apa, atau yang udah pengen tahu tapi pengen tahu lebih lanjut lagi mengenai SandBox, SandBox sekarang sudah bekerja sama dengan WGG untuk mengembangkan komunitas di Indonesia. Jadi buat yang pengen tahu nih, malam ini kita akan bahas kupas tuntas sama George Wong, yaitu country manager bukan hanya untuk Indonesia, tapi juga Malaysia dan Philippines. Kapan lagi ya ada country manager di sini? Jadi semua pertanyaan-pertanyaan yang teman-teman ada bisa langsung ditanyakan dan kita bakal mendengarkan langsung kepada Bapak George sendiri. Nah, George Wong merupakan orang Singapura atau Malaysia. Jadi pakai bahasa Inggris. Kita akan pakai bahasa Inggris, tapi jangan khawatir karena kita akan ada subtitle bahasa Indonesia. Jadi sekarang nih, kalau teman-teman yang berasa, ntar gue roaming dong ya pakai bahasa Inggris. Santai. Pertama, emang harus belajar ya. Kedua, akan ada subtitle bahasa Indonesia. Alright, perkenalkan nama aku Airin Umar, CEO WGG, bacanya WGG, Wigil Games ya. Jadi pada yang bingung itu bacanya gimana tuh? W3, W3 atau apa gitu kan. Ya jangan nanggung, Bo, langsung aja WGG. Jadi kan nge-rhymes ya, WGG. Ayo semuanya langsung bernyanyi. Dan malam ini kita akan kedatangan tamu spesial kita, yang tadi saya sebutkan, George Wong, Country Manager dari SandBox, Indonesia, Malaysia, dan Philippines. Ini merupakan sebuah kehormatan sekali buat kita karena kita kedatangan tamu terhormat kita. Dan sebelum kita mulai, aku pengen ingetin nih ke teman-teman, jangan lupa gabung di komunitas SandBox Indonesia. Ada di mana aja nih? Ada di Instagram, ada di X. Kalau yang kurang gaul, nggak tahu X itu apa? X itu Twitter, Bu. Ya. Jadi silakan ke Instagram The SandBox Indo, Twitter The SandBox IDN, dan di wgg.io, w3gg.io, sudah ada komunitas page The SandBox Indo. Jadi pastikan Anda join di sana karena banyak sekali informasi-informasi yang ada. Langsung supaya nggak bosan nih sama saya, kita langsung undang aja Bapak George Wong, Country Manager of The SandBox Indonesia, Malaysia, and Philippines. Hello Pak George, kalem banget.
Hello, how are you? Nice to have you here and have me here as well. How have you been?
I'm doing good. I need to see a little bit more energy there. How are you doing?
Yay.
Give a bit of shout out to your communities.
Yes, shout out to the Sand fan. Thank you for having me here tonight. I'm extremely excited. Indonesia is a super exciting market. We only started 2 months ago, but already I'm meeting some incredible people. I'm visiting next week. And I really hope to be able to connect with the community more, and I'm so glad to have this session together with WGG. And of course, Irene, thanks for having me.
Thank you so much, George. George, the SandBox Indonesia, right? Or the SandBox itself, would you mind giving a little bit of introduction about what the SandBox does and what is SandBox actually?
Well, for those who are not too familiar with us yet, obviously, the SandBox is a decentralized metaverse. If you saw all the different like virtual lands being sold and many brands coming into the metaverse, that's probably us. And and what we do is really we are a platform for creators to to showcase their talent in terms of game making, in terms of design, and to monetize it. And to also completely own the artwork or the creations that they create, which is something that we achieve with the use of blockchain, NFTs, and so forth, right? And I think that's important because there are many platforms in the market that allows you to make your own creations. And a lot of times I hear in the market how little people pay attention to ownership of of your own creations. But being in the industry myself, I've been working with artists for many years. I used to run a photo gallery, and I've dealt with copyright issues. And digital photography and digital art is one of the most heavily copied and copyright infringement as well is on the highest level. Nobody thinks twice about copying and saving an image of Google Images, and they don't care about copyright. But with NFTs and being able to sell their content as NFTs, they can control the number of like copies that one rightfully owns. You have traceability of ownership and also the ability to monetize from each transaction that occurs in the secondary market. So and that's I think very important for creators. So the SandBox essentially is a little bit like YouTube. We are a user-generated content platform, but we are not for video. That's what YouTube does. But instead, we are for games and game environment content. It's a new type of content that a lot of people are not used to, right? And that's why we do a lot of education as well. But we feel that once this really picks up and we are already seeing a lot of content being created on our platform, everyone is still new, everyone's still experimenting. I think there are more than 700 different experiences already on the website since we introduced self-publishing at the end of last year. So that's and making a game is not as easy as just recording a quick video and uploading it on YouTube, right? It takes a lot more effort. And there are some very good games. There are some that's still experimental, but that's where the vibrancy and the unique content starts to come up. So that's what we hope to do in this space.
Fantastic. Thanks a lot for the intro. You say a few words that are music to my ear. Basically, people can come in, people can play, people can create a game or an asset within the game, and they can monetize it and at the same time own it, right? So that it's not like, I know there are a lot of us who like to, right click and then copy and paste. Here you could do the same, but there's a traceability of the ownership, and SandBox is the one who's going to facilitate all of this. Right, George?
Well, yeah,
Fantastic.
in a way, everything's by the smart contract. The beauty of it is we don't trace, the blockchain traces, right? And that's the whole point, right? That's the whole point. Yeah.
It becomes automatic. So we all focus on just creating and creating. Get all the creative juice out. Who cares what admin is on the chain? The smart contracts will take care of it. So now, George, is there a way for us to start the SandBox with zero cost? Because I'm sure that a lot of community members immediately go and Google up SandBox and then look into the OpenSea and like, we have to buy a land or what? So is there a way for creators, for players, for gamers to start experiencing or playing SandBox, entering the SandBox ecosystem with zero cost or for free?
Well, I think that we've tried to make as zero cost as possible. So for example, one of the things that let's look at players first, right? Players don't have to pay to play. They only need to do a KYC in order to redeem Sand tokens, right? So that's more of a legal requirement for certain markets if you want to redeem tokens. So if you play and you earn tokens, you want to redeem it. I think that's straightforward. That's also to avoid cheating, multi-accounting. That happens a lot in any game, right? That's one way, and that's immediate, right? And if you just want to play, you don't care about earning tokens, you can just use a social media login or an email login and just get started. So the whole purchase of NFTs or land is completely optional as a gamer, right? Now, when it comes to creators, it's a different story. If for a creator, they may want to create a voxel asset. Now, the creation tools on the SandBox is completely free. So we have VoxEdit and GameMaker, both software that we've created for our platform, which is no code. So if you're not a 3D art student, animation student, and you want to use the sandbox, you can. And many of our creators are actually not from a design background. A lot of our community members who are building on it are not from a design background. So that's something that I feel is very inclusive. You can start building, and then you can create your NFT. It could be an avatar, it could be a wearable design, and then some of the functionalities are not fully available yet, like avatar issuance to the website and our marketplace is not ready yet. It's in the pipeline. So eventually one day you can make any avatar collection and sell it without requiring any permission from the sandbox, right? But in terms of wearables, you can make like items. And the unique thing about this items, if you're a gamer, is that let's say you make a sword and your sword is really cool, and all the items in the game, you can put a stat to it. So if it's like there are stats. So there are like speed stats, there are defense stats, there's attack stats, and it's usable across all the games that support. So let's say if it's a combat game in the sandbox, there are 50 combat games made by different creators. You can use that same item across those games. Now it sounds simple, but it's a lot harder to make when you're doing against like every other game. It must work in other games. But anyway, so let's say you make a sword, and then what you need to do is we have rarities, right? Like legendary, uncommon, rare, epic. You need to actually acquire a catalyst to mint it. So the catalyst will determine the rarity. So that is what gives legendary a very high value, because legendary catalysts are very rare in the market. So that's how we control rarities and to essentially make rarities across the whole platform, which is something very challenging. It's not so straightforward, but if you want to make like uncommons or commons, they are very easy to make because the availability of the catalyst is very high in the market. But when it comes to like higher rarities, then it becomes a bit harder to get, therefore a bit more expensive. So that's why you start to realize it's very interesting, right? If you were to buy legendary items before we introduced this feature 1 year ago, they could be quite cheap. Today, legendary items on our platform is pretty expensive because the catalyst is so rare. So the actual supply and demand creates that limitation. Okay. So and of course, if they become a studio, they can also make a request for bulk to purchase and mint it, and then they can. That's why you see studios issuing a lot, because they buy it in bulk. But then that's the only requirement that costs money, is if you want to sell the NFT in the marketplace because of rarity, right? But if you're doing like a common NFT, you don't care about rarities, you just want to give utility to your friends or community, it can be a few cents. So there's a bit of a cost there, like a few cents to $1. It depends on the market price, but there is a bit of a cost there, but small one. And then, but you can design game experiences on GameMaker completely free and put it on the gallery. But if you want to put the game onto the map so that people can visit your land and play, you do need to own land. But what we have done is that we have come up with a lot of game jams, competitions, so that people can join and they can actually win land if they make a good enough of an experience. So the top 3 for every game jam, we would be giving at least 1 plot of land so that you can put your land there. So because we know that we want quality content, so we want to reward the best creations with land so that they can put there. And if you think that every game jam has anywhere between like 40 to 120 participants, it's actually not that difficult to get top 3 if you put your effort into it, right? And so that's the opportunity we create, and we are doing more. We are trying to plan for a local game jam in Indonesia with a big brand. I can't say who yet, but if that goes through, I think a lot of fans in Indonesia will be very excited, right? So that's something that we're working on. So you can build a game based on your favorite Indonesian brand and like be a part of that IP in some way, right? That would be very cool. So and you can build a land with their blessing on your land with that IP. Oh, that's what we hope to achieve. I can't promise you yet, but cross fingers that's gonna happen. So there are some costs involved when it comes to like creating and publishing, especially on the publishing side. But we also try to create support for that as well.
But for playing, we can say that anyone can come in and play?
Yeah, anyone can play. So even if you look at the big seasons, right? If you look at like Love and Music season, we have rewards that is just for land holders. We have rewards for avatar holders, but we also have rewards for no holders as well. So you can be a general player, you can play, and you can get the rewards. But I have to say the priority of rewards is to land holders and avatar holders, right? They'll get the bigger rewards.
Got it, got it. Just now, I think you dropped some alpha over there, and also some reminders to the communities here is that 1 year ago, the legendary items were pretty affordable. And then right now, the price has shot up. And
Yeah.
George also mentioned that there will be shit tons of, apologies for my language, but there will be a lot of perks for people who hold the lands. And the land price now is okay. Like, we don't know what's going to happen next year. You do your own research, but that's what George has been pushing out. And specific for Indonesia, there will be some form of collaborations with big brands. So content creators, for you guys who want to create content with certain brands, but you're worried about IP rights and all the admin of whether can I not, SandBox has got it covered for you. And when they announce it, make sure that you do join the game jam. VGG and SandBox are going to conduct game jams anyway for university students. And so that will be something that will be very exciting for everyone. So if you are creators, make sure that you get into the SandBox ecosystem because you got to learn first. In order to create good games, you have to be players first, right? And as George mentioned just now, the cost is free for you to become a players, and then you level up and you become a creator. Anyone can be a creator with SandBox. And I've tried the platform myself. My goodness, I can't even draw a straight line, but I'm quite impressed with myself in SandBox. Thanks a lot for that, George. And you mentioned, right, George, there are a couple of alpha seasons, right, that's happening, right? And so we are at seasons 4 right now, isn't it?
We did a season 3 a while back, and I think a lot of people were hoping for season 4 last year, but we didn't launch season 4. There were a few reasons for it. There's a combination of reasons, but one of the things that we hope to do is season 4 to be sometime this year. It could be an alpha season 4. It could be a beta season 1. We don't know, because we want to introduce a lot of new features. So a lot of the times that we held back the season was because the season was a way for us to showcase a host of new features that people can try, right? And the games that have to be built on those new features. So we just introduced 0.9 towards the end of last year. And I think we will most probably have at least a few iterations or upgrades this year. So I think we will only see it after we have done one more upgrade, for example, and then we need to give the community time to build based on the newest features and then run a new season. I mean, that it's not fixed. It's something that I think will happen. And because the season is, of course, to reward fans, and a lot of people come in to play, they want to earn, but it's really also for us to test out all these new features, to show people that we are improving, and also to get feedback on the features, and also to identify bugs, right? Because we're trying to build a platform. So a lot of people will say that, oh, as a game, we're still in alpha, it's not fully established. But really what we're trying to do is we're trying to build a platform for other people to build games. It's much more difficult than building a game ourselves. So there is that development thing. So once that's done, I hope to see an alpha season 4/beta 1 this year, but I don't think it'll be in the first half. It'll be in the second half.
Perfect. I think that's good because it gives us a lot more time for people who wants to start. I think there are a lot of questions that have started streaming in, but I wanted to ask from a perspective of a player, right? So I noticed that in SandBox, when you want to start playing, you can actually mint your own avatar.
You don't mint it. That one is like you can create an avatar, or you can use a purchased NFT avatar. We can mint, like for example, we just ran like Hellboy, and I think Hellboy is a pretty popular movie IP, comic book IP, and people can mint those that's created. So right now the NFTs avatars that you can mint is usually with an IP partner, but we are progressing towards allowing people to create, design, and mint their own avatar as well for the purposes of trading it as well. But that will need a bit of time for that. But yeah, you start out with
So you start with an avatar that comes in. Would you mind walking them through the process of because there are, I see names here, there are familiar names that I'm sure that are very, very familiar with SandBox, but there are also other new names, right, that are perhaps curious and say, how do I start? I want to start now. Can you walk them through the process, George?
Okay, well, I think the basic way is you go into the website. You create an account, you log in. You can use your email and social account, and then when you go in, I think the easiest would be using your Google account. And then when you go in, you'll be asked to create a username and account, and then create an avatar. So you don't need to buy an avatar to play. You can just use one of the avatar creators to play, and then you can just then go to the map or the events page on the website, click on any experience that you want to try. So if your favorite is, let's say, Gucci, because you're a fan of Gucci, you can click on the Gucci land. Or if you like football, there's like Kuniguro land, Kuniverse, you can click on that. Or Captain Tsubasa, if you're an anime fan, click on that, click play. Then what happens is that it will download the game client. It will ask you to download the game client, which you need to install if you haven't installed it yet. Once that installed, you go on the map, click on any experience, click play, it will load the game, and then you go into the game. Then you start playing. It's really just that. The other stuff like doing KYC and all that is if you want to earn, then that's where you need to go into your profile. You can go under account verification, and then you need to prove your identity to a third party, so we don't take any information. With that identity, then you are able to start to redeem all the like NFTs or sand tokens that you have earned from the sandbox.
Wow, that's fantastic. Thank you, George. That's for newbies who would like to join. Jadi teman-teman yang pada bingung nih mau gimana masuknya, tadi udah dijelasin sama Pak George. Tinggal masuk aja ke Sandbox websitenya. Bisa login biasa pakai Google dan kawan-kawan. Jadi udah masuk tuh, silahkan bermain-main. Tapi pada saat mau ngeklaim kayak pas kita lagi main di time zone tuh, caranya gimana sih? Nah, gampang kok. Tinggal ikutin aja di bawah profile, tinggal di mint, dan itu udah langsung bisa ngeklaim NFT-nya, ngeklaim sand tokens-nya. Sand tokens-nya itu bisa diapain? Bisa dibuat belanja dong. Nah, untuk lebih lanjut, silakan follow terus ya Instagramnya kita. Going next, George. So we talk about the players, right? Now, there are people who are like, okay, I missed out last year. I didn't get the legendary NFTs. I want to get land. So let's go through the land right now. How much is the cost of the land? Which means how much investment is it going to be? How do they buy the land? What can they do with the land? Can they stake it? Can they play with it? Let's go all out with the lands now.
Okay, I think firstly to buy the land, just for reference of everyone, we have not changed the land price, I think, in 2 years. So the price has been the same for a long time. If you go through a land sale, I think we're still running, I don't know if we are still running it, but there was Thyverse. Thyverse is by our Thai counterparts in Thailand. And the land sale for a public sale for a normal plot of land is 1011 sand. All right, that is the sand token. And the price will depend on how much the sand token is at that point in time, right? So it's 1011 sand. And if you buy premium land is like a land that is right next to a partner land, a big partner. So like when I was doing Singapore last year, we did one championship. So around one championship, there was premium land, which is sold for 4683 sand, right? So there's a specific price. And the reason for that is because you get additional NFTs and benefits as a premium landholder. And there will be future rewards. So for premium landholders, you also like, you'll probably get like some priority for future airdrops. You always get whitelists into mints for what's that called, for future avatars and so forth. So we do give a bit of so like for every avatar collection, because I'm a premium landholder, I have whitelist for every collection, so I never worry about getting it. So whereas, and it's automatic, you're already whitelisted, it's just whether you choose to mint it or not. So there is some priority, so I always have one plot of premium land lying around just in case I want to mint something. But yeah, so that's in terms of land. So price wise, it hasn't really changed, and that's because we sell it in sand. Now, when it comes to what people can do with it, oftentimes, most people are, I think there's a nice mix now. We have a lot of people who are traders, but there are also people who buy it for the purposes of using it, right? So And using it, there's a few ways. The most direct way, of course, is to build a game. But then you can consider also looking at things like renting it out later on. Now, we talk about renting land for a long time, but I think land rentals will only go up in demand when we have sold all land. So when we run out of land to sell, which I think is probably around 2026, that's when we run out of all land. And if you look at the map, there isn't much left, to be very honest. I don't know if we can go until 2026. We might run out in 2025. But once we sell all land, that's when I think rentals will go up because there's scarcity now. There's not enough land in the market. And if new brands want to come in, or if new clients want to come in, they have to rent or buy. So they buy from the market, or they rent from you. So that's when rental will happen. So it depends on your time horizon, right? I think for a lot of times people don't understand that virtual land is actually not very dissimilar to real world land, right? The rules still apply. Location applies, scarcity applies. So and these things create valuation. One thing I don't think we have seen in the SandBox is any location valuations yet. And the reason is because people haven't started seeing the value of being next to a very big IP with a very good experience yet. So if, let's say, Atari has a really good game and they have some games built on the SandBox, and or you're next to Rabbids, and Rabbids is a Ubisoft IP, and that has a lot of traffic, your land right next to it will be very visible. Chances of people visiting your land is higher. That valuation hasn't come in yet. So that's why you don't see that affected into any of the virtual land prices. And I think that does happen, but it comes with maturity. So I won't say that you will see that soon. But like most real estate, it takes time. If you're in early, you expect a lot of noise. You'll expect a lot of people saying, oh, it's no good, blah, 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 or you don't know what you're buying. And then the land valuations kind of affects the sentiments in the short term. But over a long-term horizons, how many people have said, I should have bought that 10 years ago? I should have bought that land 5 years ago. My dad says that all the time about every property we missed out. I should have bought that house 20 years ago. I should have bought that house 30 years ago. But in hindsight, now we know that we made, a mistake. But when we are there, you're taking that risk. So, and I think that would be something that we won't see until maybe past 2026. Like then will people say, I should have bought it when it was the bear market in 2021, 2022, that kind of thing.
We are feeling that right now, no, George. Like we're feeling that right now. We should have bought it since last year. We should have bought Sense token since last year when the bear market was there.
Well, I accumulated. So I do look at all analytics and look at cycle. To be honest, nothing is surprising. The bull market wasn't surprising. The timing wasn't surprising. It surprises me that the market is still surprised. We are not surprised at all. If you've gone through enough bull cycles, you should know by now, right, what the cycles will look like. But it's interesting, which is why I think we did how to make money in the metaverse. And I'm starting to do a lot more on looking at charts, fundamental, technical, cycle analysis, just for the market to make their own decision, right? To not get caught out. There's so much FOMO and FUD right now, right? At the same time. And that's the market where you should be very worried,
Yeah.
If you're coming into the space. I mean, there is a correlation, right? Like people don't seem to understand why I'm talking about like tokenomics. But the reason for tokenomics is because it will affect the short term for all the crypto market businesses, whether we like it or not, right? So, and I think that's where I think the market now is very interesting. The time of this is very interesting as well because we are faced with so much volatility in the market now.
That's great, George. What I like about you is that George is like in Indo, we call it the tangan besi. Full bear doesn't matter. I accumulate, I look at the charts, and then I'll go, you guys FOMO. But what's important in the context of sand is that, in the context of land is, you mentioned a very, very important thing, is that there's scarcity to it. Right now, you see a lot of land sale going on, but then the year to watch out for is 2026. And he mentioned something very, very important, that we might run out of land before 2026. What's going to happen then? Well, we all study demands and supply. So we don't have to say further that you know what you have to do. Now, George, if people have bought the land, right, can they stake it to earn something?
They can. We have staking. Well, it's like a soft staking. You don't actually have to move the land and anything. As long as you have land, you can stake it. Although I have to say, in the current period, staking probably is not as lucrative as trading. That's something that I can't say. But yeah, we do have staking. For landowners, there's a bit more of a percentage increase compared to regular staking. So you can find it in the website. You can click on your profile. There's a staking button, and then you can show you the rewards at the time. There was a period of time the rewards were really high, so staking was really good, but it does fluctuate depending on the market.
So it's really like real life data. Jadi teman-teman nih yang aktif di real estate, terus yang pengen beli tanah gitu toh di Jakarta yang sudah mahal ini, mungkin bisa consider terus di Sandbox itu ada lahan apa aja. Dan lahan itu sama seperti area rentalnya. Jadi biasanya kita kan kalau beli apartemen, beli rumah gitu kan, jadul gitu toh, itu kita bisa dapetin rental income. Di Sandbox juga sama, namanya soft staking tadi. Soft staking itu apa sih sebenarnya? Ya tinggal ke profile, di stake itu kayak time deposit, cuman ini konteksnya instead of duit, ini kita masukinnya adalah lahan. Jadi teman-teman yang udah kepikiran, aduh duitku kebanyakan mau taruh di mana, mungkin ini sesuatu yang bisa dikonsider sebelum kehabisan lahan. Jadi silakan langsung ke sandbox.io, ada banyak sekali informasi-informasi yang ada di luar sana. Nah hari ini saya yakin teman-teman kita baru kira-kira nggak nyampe setengah jam ya, dan sudah banyak sekali alfa dan informasi yang bisa didapatkan dari George. Kalau pengen tahu banyak lagi, setiap minggu kita ada acara komunitas dengan Sandbox, dan di Sandbox sendiri websitenya juga ada banyak sekali informasi yang ada. Kita akan salurkan informasi tersebut di dalam Sandbox Indonesia community page. Juga ada di antara komunitas kita lah. Kadang-kadang kalau ngomong pakai bahasa Inggris kan ada jiper gitu kan. Pengen ngomong bahasa Indonesia sekarang gitu toh. Jadi langsung aja di join ya. Nah, moving on. I'm sorry you're roaming a little bit there. Because I see a lot of chats they're saying that they want a little bit of Indonesian flash to it, so I have to splash it up a little bit. Now, coming back to earnings. Yeah, George, we talk about staking of land, and then we also talk about players already. So let's see how we can maximize the earning of Sand if we want to play games, right? Play games, and then the second one is that if we play games and we own lands, what's your advice on how we should? It's not financial advice, it's a playing advice, maximizing advice in a Sandbox.
I am not sure how best to answer this. The reason is quite simple, right? I mean, it's a cost, benefit, assessment, right? Like a cost to time benefit assessment. And I think that when it comes to landowners, the cost benefit and maximization has a lot to do with how they choose to use the land, right? If people choose to just hold the land and hope that the price goes up, well, then you're leaving it to market forces. And the cost and the profit depends on when you buy. Same thing with cryptos of our sand, right? If you buy it at a good time, you do that. But if you are in accumulation like me, and I've been accumulating sand, one of the ways that we do is, we play. We have seasons every month, and then that's actually one of the best ways to earn. And I think having an avatar is also very, very beneficial, because a lot of the rewards we do give to landholders, but also to avatar holders. And interestingly enough, Indonesia is the 11th highest holders of avatars in the world, right? And I think that number is kind of small compared to, in terms of like number of players versus the number of avatar holders, the ratio is quite different. Now, this is something wasn't me who said it. It was actually some of my friends in Singapore who told me that actually avatars, what they do is, if you're active, they will mint the avatar early if they're a whitelisted holder. And then from there, because it's early, and then they play the game with the avatar. So I'll give you an example, right? So usually what happens is we do an avatar for Hellboy, and then there's and we also announce a Hellboy experience, right? And usually, not all games, but for many games, especially with larger IPs, there's a reward for avatar holders of like the Hellboy, like the same IP, to reward you for playing. So what some people have found, that the reward was almost as much, or sometimes even more than what they paid for the avatar. So I have friends in Singapore who has been accumulating avatars every launch, major launch, because it pays for itself. That's what they tell me. But you see, that's not my experience, because I don't try to play every game. I have to work in the game. So or I'm moderating the game. So I never realized that. But then it seems like, if you put in effort, you do. And I think why a lot of people are waiting for this Alpha Season 4 was because Alpha Season 4, the rewards are the biggest, right? So everyone is looking forward to the rewards, both in terms of NFTs and all that. But I think what I want people to understand is that although we a lot of people want play to earn, I just want people to understand that the rewards is more to thank you for playing rather than being a full day income for you, right? So how to maximize? It depends on you. I found that for every season, if you want to finish all the required quests in one day, technically possible if you just grind the whole day. That's actually very high cost to reward ratio if you think about it. Although I don't recommend that for your mental health. But I've seen that some people can grind it out. I've done it once or twice where I was in a season. I was like, oh, I missed it. I just grind for a day and I managed to finish 200 EP points in a day. So I know it's possible. I can do it. So can you. But it's obviously not good when it comes to actually testing the game and finding out bugs for us, which is why we're giving you the rewards, right? So but I think that if you have a healthy sand accumulation through games, I think that if you were playing with us since the Alpha Season 3 and you kept all the sand, and with the price of sand now, I think you'll be pretty happy. So I think there's a few ways for you to look at maximization. But I think the avatar one was quite interesting because I didn't even know that. It's not our intention, by the way. That was just the result that people were earning avatars in every collection. So yeah, that was pretty interesting in that sense.
I think I'm quite proud that at least Indonesia make it to the map of the highest avatar owner, right? So it means that we're pretty creative when spotting opportunities of what could be there. And as you speak, I immediately went into SandBox website and seeing what I could do to play, because essentially there's so many experiences out there, and you guys are super active in making sure that everyone is entertained, not only the players but the creators as well. I don't know how you do it, man, but it's amazing. Thank you for that. George, next question. Since you talk about earning in sand, in sand, right? Where can we do staking for sands? Like after we get sands from either playing the games or creating, what can we do with it?
Oh well, technically, sand staking is linked with land staking. It's the same thing. So you actually stake sand, but if you have land, you get more sand. That's all. It's actually part of the same when it comes to sand. I think we're a bit different than any other project where they focus a lot on staking as the rewards. Although we have them, but I think fundamentally what we look at sand is actually the economic token of the platform, right? So people come in, they buy NFTs, they buy the in-game items. Rather than call NFTs, the in-game items for them to use and play. Like I have a full set of gear, and I bought it because it's cheap now. And I bought it right before the rally, right? So and the rally came then.
Thanks for telling us, yeah. Thanks for telling us, yeah. Is it still rallying right now?
Financial advice, okay? That's why
I
did it myself, and I bought everything when it was very cheap. So that because the prices of items and sand tokens have all gone up, right? So I bought a whole set, and it's for the purposes of gameplay, so that I can play in the game, and it's also my visual identity. And we use sand for that, right? So look at sand as a way to reward the good creators that are making stuff. You have to see that we are coming up with a lot of great content from Southeast Asia, and they're all independent game creators. If you're used to spending on Twitch subscriptions, right, it's kind of the same thing, but in the form of items that you get for using in the game. You're supporting these creators, I think that is what the sand really is for. It's just a payment token. It's not there to just be pure alpha. I mean, we will make money from it, I believe, but at the same time, we want to encourage you to look at using the sand. Don't just hoard it. Support the creators, and buy stuff from them, buy full wearables. In fact, to be very honest, it was a community member who told me this, right? Before I bought it, I really didn't think about it. Then he was telling me, I bought a full set of legendaries. Why? Because people don't understand the value yet. It's cheap. I was like, okay, that made some sense. Then I went and looked for deals, and you'll be amazed. Can you imagine, like, you can buy an item that has only 10 like limited edition, like epic items that has only 10 in the whole game by a brand, and it's like $20.
What?
It's like 20. No, sorry, it's like 20 sand. I found a few. I bought them. Right, and I was
Can
like,
you
"This is."
can you name a few that's available right now?
I don't want to say. I'll be taking sides.
Guys, I tried. Guys, I
you
tried.
can you can search, but the thing here is, but there, bear in mind is that it's just to improve gameplay. Now, why is that important? So let's say you are playing our season, right? And we have a lot of games that is about speed running. Okay, and you have a full set of gear that boosts your speed. You run way faster. It is quite apparent. So when I want to just rush through a game, I equip a full set of gear. It doesn't make sense to the game. It doesn't matter because I have a speed kit and I run through the game, and it helps with playing the game and earning the tokens faster because I wanna complete the quest quicker, right? And if you are playing some of the, like in the Bonkers trials, we actually had speed runs. So if you had gear that boosted your speed, you would actually perform better. And that's why people are getting those items.
Okay, let's take one step back a little bit. Some of our community members, they have gone to the sandbox.game, right? And they're looking into their marketplace, and they are seeing and these are newbies over here who just created an account, right? And they'll see a whole bunch of things. They'll see collectible packs, they'll see avatars, they'll see equipment, they'll see characters, they'll see props, they'll see building experiences. So what you're saying just now is that when people goes out there to mint the entire epic or legendary collections, what you're referring to is the avatars as the first step. Is that correct?
No, not really. It's the wearables. It's the
wearable. Okay.
It's
so
the
where
wearable.
do they find wearables?
If you look at the marketplace, there's a tab called equipment. If you click equipment, everything there, like 90% is made by the community. And they choose the price. We don't set the price for the community, right? It is done by the community. So the interesting thing is, if you know what to look for, like you're looking for stats, you're looking for speed, you're looking for attack. If the game is that, you search for it and then you look for a good deal. You'll be amazed that some of the really rare stuff is cheap, to be honest.
Wow.
Yeah.
So it's not simply buying in the wet market. You have to understand it and understand what you're looking for and what it is going to be used for.
Correct. Because if you buy wearables, you need to have that intent in mind. Like, I'm going to do a lot of speed running because I want to compete in the speed running contest that we run.
Yeah.
So that's what they look for. You get a full set of gear that is speed stat at the highest level at the most affordable budget. So I'll be very honest. I started out with a 200 sand budget to buy a full set of gear. I managed to get either legendary or epics, and I didn't spend it all. Like, I managed to keep within budget, right?
Wow.
And that was my budget. I know it's a bit of an expenditure for people. It's like 2 avatars, but that's equipment that I can use for any game, especially the speed one. I can tell our marketplace now is super underrated. If you like to keep playing, you want an advantage, or you just want to save time by being quicker, like the speed stat stuff in the marketplace is highly underrated. Okay, so
wow, that's an alpha for you right there, man.
Only if you play the game. Okay, I'm talking about in the case of time. The alpha is how much time you save. Just think of it that way, and how competitive you'll be. So I think that's something a bit different because of all the wearables and what they affect, and it's very, very underrated right now. And most people don't look at it. Everyone looks at avatars, which is great because avatars are cool, but avatars don't give you any stat improvements. The gear does. Like any game, the sword gives you more damage. The cosmetic doesn't.
Fantastic. Thanks a lot. That's an alpha right there. So some of you guys, I'm sure, I know you guys so well. That's why you ask those questions. When I've gone to the SandBox marketplace, and you'll be like, how do I start? So here's the thing. What I like about SandBox is that it's a lot of information, it's a lot of educations. It's not about buying and buying and buying and then selling it immediately. It's really about passions, not only for creators, but for gamers. George repeatedly mentioned he got it because he wanted to use it in-game. He even analyzed that, look, the experiences are all about speed, and that's important. And so that requires research, right? And research not because it's a work, but because it's something that you like. So I'm sure that a lot of VGG communities there are gamers. I have faith in you guys, and you guys are really, really the smartest being out there. Make sure that you go there and let me know what you want me, what I should buy. So at least there's alpha from you guys community to us. Just like how support me, just like how the communities of SandBox supports George in his journey to buy all those wearables. The wearables that he mentioned, he bought it with 200 for legendary items, right? If you quickly just go into
No more.
the market right now,
Legendary. They're all at 400 now.
they are exactly the pricing. Oh yeah, keep rubbing it in, George. So anyway, I'm hoping that guys, communities of VGG, I'm counting on you guys. All right, drop your alphas, drop your research in the SandBox community page in Instagram or in the community side. Well, I'm just gonna sit here and try to dig more alphas for you guys from George. He's very tight-lipped. George, so we see that right now. There's a lot of movements that's happening. There's a lot of FOMOs. All of us feeling that. I have this question from the communities that I definitely will have to ask you. And I know your answer, but my request for you is please don't deflect the answer and give us straight away answer. When will the SandBox be back to all-time high? He would be like, oh crap.
Okay, I'll give you an honest answer because I'm going to say this in one of my workshops anyway. The honest answer is I don't know if it'll hit all-time high. I don't know if it'll hit all-time high. And I'm being very frank. And the reason is because you must know that the all-time high came from two factors. It came from market rally, and it came from there was a Metaverse hype from a lot of news in the market, right? So it pushed things a bit higher than normal, which was what, $8, $8 USD. It's not even $1 right now. So you can imagine that's actually many magnitudes of it. Will it go up and be a very good price? I believe so, although I don't know the price point at where it might go. My data hasn't shown to that yet. And we know in bull markets, sometimes things goes out the window, which means that I might be completely wrong. It might break all-time high. I'm just being conservative, right? Because I'm factoring things. So, and I think it would go to that level together with the market. So this bull market that we are in, there's a cycle. I'll go into it in detail in my workshops, but there's a bit of an up. We're going to see down in the coming few months. And then after that, it will go into a hyper bull. We would see probably, it's very likely Bitcoin is going to break 100. I'll be very surprised if it doesn't break 100,000 in this year. In this year, I'm saying this not immediately in this year. I'll be surprised if it doesn't hit 100,000 Bitcoin, which will drag the whole market up. So the question is how high that will go. That's something I can't really say yet. Some people say 300,000. I don't think so. But 100,000 seems very, very likely at this juncture. And with that number, would it hit all-time high? Maybe. I think a good rally will be there, but all-time high, I'm not sure. So if that is what the trajectory of the market is like, we would see everything that's not Bitcoin do more than Bitcoin, because when Bitcoin goes down, the alts crash lower. When it goes up, the alts go higher, right? So I would say, you're looking at critical months is about May. May is a critical month, but I don't think it'll be reaching that price in May. It'll probably be June onwards. But these are times to watch because it's quite tied to a few factors. The halving is one. The halving date is somewhat certain for the Bitcoin halving. But more on that is because cycles work in funny ways, right? You can calculate down to the day, which I have friends who have given me dates. They are telling me April 22nd is a very important, scary day, like not a good day. I don't know. It's not advice because I have no idea how they came with that date. Okay. So but there is a calculation. I know the charts they're looking at. I don't know how to read it. So I can't say if it's yes or no, but based on that, I think so what I would say is that we should be very worried about April, May, and June. Because you can make money in an up or down market if you think about it. So when we say that it's a time to be concerned, that's because the chart says that it's a concerning time. But it might go that. If you are buying at the wrong time, you always lose out. So that's why all-time high. My answer is I don't know if you hit all-time high. I'm not really sure. Okay, I don't know. I know a lot of people hate me, but I'm just super conservative as a trader. I'm happy, to be honest. I'm happy if the Sand token is a stable coin. If for me, I'm happy if it is. Okay, I'm very serious. I know that sounds really stupid, but I'm super happy if it was a stable coin, right? Because I think in a game economy, sometimes people want a stable number, right? They don't want to, like you say, I bought legendary when it was like cheap and now it's super expensive, because of
Keep
market.
rubbing it, man. Keep rubbing it.
Not because of, sometimes it's not because of demand, it's just because the token price gone up, right? So I think it's a double-edged sword in a way, but of course if it goes up, I'm happy because I've been accumulating for a year. But yeah, I would say, to be honest, maybe $6 is what I think. That's very optimistic, by the way. But I don't know, I really don't know. I hope it breaks all-time high. That's all I can say. And
We
the
all
month
hope that it takes all that time.
and months to watch is April, May, and June. We should be careful now because the next 3 months is going to be quite scary if you're in the wrong time. That's I think the best answer, right? It's not a politically correct answer.
That's really good. That's good enough. I feel like sitting here, hearing what you say, I feel like I'm entering into, the tarot chart reading that people do every year. Be careful of April, May, and June.
I
Caution.
got charts. I'm just not showing it right now. I got charts, and that's what I'm doing the workshop for. I want people to read it, see the signs, take action before they get caught out. That's all, right? That charts tell a lot of things. As much as people tell you can't read charts, you can't read it to a certain degree, but you got to read like 3 different charts. That's the problem. If you just read one chart, it's not enough.
So George, you kept mentioning about workshops. What workshop it is, and is there any opportunities for the communities, especially VGG communities, to join that workshop, or do they have to just stay tuned here?
Well, following our socials for sure, we announce them. I've been doing them every month now, and I think, but for the Indonesian community, because it's done in English, because I'm doing it, we do want to subtitle it so the content will be made available. It's not like it's a paid workshop. It's just to help the community. And I think if you're an absolute beginner, you're new, you're from the gaming side, you don't understand anything about the crypto side, and you want to know, this session would help. I don't know how many I would do. But it's really because now is that time where there's a lot of FOMO. I wanted to do it so that it helps. It's the same thing that I've done over the past few cycles, actually. So let's hope that session will help. Because I helped people make a lot of money in the last cycle. Not because they bought big, but because they managed to get out before the market crashed. Because they saw the signs. Like the indicators were there. They realized it was the sign. They took their profits and they were happy. And it's not because I gave financial advice. I just taught them how to look for signs that the market would turn. So I think that's what we hope to help people with.
Fantastic, George. I really like your approach, but our time is up. And I want to say this, VGG is actually collaborating with SandBox to develop the communities in Indonesia. That's why we have the page over here, the SandBox Indonesia community page. So make sure that today, I'm sure that there's a lot of alphas for those of you guys who know about SandBox, who heard about SandBox, or who completely doesn't know about SandBox. And today we got an added layer, which is we know a dear friend, a mentor, and also a trader who's really good, who bought Legendary when it was very cheap, Mr. George Fong. Thank you so much for being with us. George, one last question. Is there any message that you have for our Indonesian community or anything special that I know you love Indonesians so much? What's your final message for the Indonesians out there?
Yeah.
If you can use Bahasa, that would be great.
Sorry. I wish I could. I'll learn, but I think communicate with us and to learn. I think now is even though it's a bull market, it's the best time to learn, because when you see how the bull market and bear market works, especially when the next cycle comes, you will be more prepared. That will in terms of your wallet, but I also encourage you to be a creator, because the best way to earn from the SandBox is to create and to sell your work. That's where you get paid the most compared to playing. Playing gets you some, but creators make the most, right? And we have a rewards for creators. So if you make a good game, and if you be a part of our builders challenge, you have a lot of people playing your game, we will pay you sand. So like we just announced last week that we had 10 winners who won so much sand from us because their game was so good, right? So we do that consistently for this year. We want to reward creators. So if you even just love the idea of making and owning your own game, and being rewarded for it, do try. There's no cost to trying, right? And you maybe earn your own land and have your own land and earn your own sand.
Awesome. Thank you so much, George, for being with us. It's an amazing
Thanks so much.
45 minutes to an hour, right? Thank you so much for for being here, and I hope that we'll see you more often as and when we grow our communities. Thank you, everyone, for being here. Stay tuned in SandBox and stay tuned in VGG. Make sure that you do join the community page, follow the Instagram, and we will make the announcement of when the workshop is gonna be, so you would see George again, and there will be a subtitle in Bahasa, most importantly, so you understand completely. All right, guys, over and out. My name is Irene Umar, and thank you so much.
VGG. VGG. VGG.
WXP is our unique XP point that can be used as credit to purchase merchandise on our platform. You can earn WXP by participating in activities such as quests, events, and tournaments on the platform. You can check your task by clicking on your Tasks tab to complete the task and claim a reward. You can check your WXP by clicking on your profile picture at the top right corner. WXP can be used to purchase items on our marketplace at w3gg.io/marketplace. More items will be available in the future. That's not all. Stay tuned for more exciting updates in the future.